Relationships are based on trust. To cultivate trust in one another requires caring, compassionate interactions with people. This starts at birth when we are physically separated from the mother, and we begin to discover the psychological and emotional bonds which unite humans in social harmony. As a developmental psychologist, I teach that how we are treated early in life creates our inner model of self and other. A child who is abandoned, abused, neglected, or bullied becomes distrustful of others and sees them as dangerous. A child who is held, seen, heard, and comforted becomes trusting and open to trying new skills and trusting other people. Reliable, loving care yields a basic sense of trust in one's own quality as a good person, and a trust in the world as a safe place. But for mothers to provide the necessary loving care, we need to assure their emotional safety with education for girls, maternal care, and family planning. The way we hold our children is the way we hold our future. Children are vital to the future of our world. We must do all we can to promote their welfare, their education, and sense of self-worth. Local actions for children, of course, include tutoring, childcare, housing families, providing meals, mentoring youth, advocating for education, and working for clean, safe areas to play. As Frederick Douglass wrote in 1885, addressing the immorality of slavery, he said, "It is easier to build strong children than to repair broken men." So let's start at the beginning. Forming and sustaining supportive relationships is a lifelong practice. At first, we bond with a parent. As we learn and grow, we practice relationship building with family, peers, and the social institutions of our culture. If we are fortunate enough, we also bond with Mother Nature. Now, the simple tenets of building trust are to stop, look, listen, and do what you can. That means stop what you're doing and attend to the individual you're interacting with. Give this moment entirely to attention. Assure safety of the situation with a kind smile or a touch, or perhaps more privacy. Look for the other person's perspective and listen to understand their point of view, not to think about what you're going to say next. Reflect back what you heard to be sure you have good understanding. And finally, ask what is needed and give what you can. So how do we evoke the light of human compassion in daily life? We must think globally, but act locally too. I try to practice what I preach. I want to tell you about my home. I live in a medium-sized city in a state rich with beauty and natural resources. It is a major agricultural center, rich with art and culture, and the center of state government. But our streets tell a different story. They are lined with homeless tent settlements like a refugee camp. Indeed, many are refugees from Ukraine, Afghanistan, Iran, Mexico, and South America. Hungry people beg for food or money throughout the city. People sleep in their cars or huddle close to buildings for shade and warmth because they have no home, no car, and no tent. Children have lost a year of education, and many go hungry because they can only eat at school. We breathe the smoke of wildfires throughout the state And after 3 years of drought, our rivers, our lakes, and our wells are going dry. So here is the question: what can I do? Stop, look, listen, and respond to people's needs. For example, I work 2 days a week with dozens of other volunteers at a local food pantry in a neighborhood of immigrants. We smile warmly, welcome the children, and help the guests carry burdens of a week's worth of food. My husband and I work monthly at a local soup kitchen, feeding the homeless people of the inner city. We built a little free library for a local park and keep it stocked with books year-round for literacy and social engagement. We join others marching for human rights and personal freedoms. My family runs a nature preserve in Northern California, protecting precious forests and wildlife. So, as the Chinese proverb says, it is better to light a candle than to curse the darkness. Of course, the greatest challenge we have today is protecting Mother Earth from the ravages of human exploitation. This requires thoughtful practices in our personal lives: purchasing wisely, recycling and composting, growing food at home, minimizing use of plastics, petroleum products, and meat, and supporting policies that allow Mother Earth to reclaim her forests, waterways, and mineral resources. In our sphere of local influence, we must get close to nature ourselves and bring children into the understanding of how all life is intertwined. In marveling at how a butterfly emerges from a cocoon, how a plant grows, how the weather changes, children become invested in understanding the processes of life. Help them grow gardens, tend animals, visit the beautiful natural features of their homeland, and through science education, help the next generation to become good stewards of the planet. Beyond the personal, to achieve large-scale social policies requires careful negotiation. We start with the basic tenets of good communication and emphasize that we must be open to new facts as we consider issues. We must remain respectful of differences and follow our own policies without hypocrisy. As we seek to find common ground, we should also affirm a continuing commitment to working together. International efforts for peace and environmental concern are at work already around the world. They deserve the involvement of citizens everywhere. Starting at the beginning, we are molding a new future. It's heartening to note that more of us today are moving toward wholeness in relationship with the land and other living beings. The power of the feminine, compassion, empathy, endurance, and bravery evokes the light which can show us the way. Now, Dr. Alia Rafea will moderate our discussion and questions.